and is known as a leading figure among those attracted to Jesus. So when men abandoned him at the hour of mortal danger, Mary Magdalene was one of the women who stayed with him even to the crucifixion. She was also present at the tomb and the first person to whom Jesus appeared to after his resurrection, and the first to preach the good news of that miracle. So we don't know much about Mary Magdalene's life before she met Jesus, but we do know that she was controlled by Satan's power and that she yielded to sin over and over again until she was set free after the seventh time. So in this lesson, we go through a few of Mary Magdalene's stories in which we can gain important lessons from, which we will briefly go over. So the first moment mentioned within the lesson was when the Lord had accepted an invitation to visit her and her brother Lazarus' home. This can be found in Luke 10, verse 38 to 42. Of course, with her being so excited, her sister Martha busied herself with preparing everything and making sure everything was perfect for such an honorable guest. And when she saw her sister Mary simply sitting at his feet and not helping her, she criticized her. However, the Lord said in verse 41-42, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed, and Mary has chosen that good part, which will not be taken away from her." And what was that good thing that Martha needed? According to the Desires of Ages on page 525, she needed a calm devotional spirit, a deeper anxiety for knowledge concerning the future, immortal life, and the graces necessary for spiritual advancement. Now the part that really stood out to me was this, where it also says that there is a wide field for the Marthas with their zeal in active religious work, but let them first sit with Mary at the feet of Jesus.
Amen.
Let diligence, promptness, and energy be sanctified for the grace of Christ. Then the life will be an unconquerable power for good. Now, looking back at that story, I'm sure we all can relate to how Martha was feeling at the time, especially when you're right over people who you want to impress, and you may end up spending most of the time making sure everything is perfect instead of trying to get to know the guests better. And in the same respect, I'm sure we all know workaholics like Martha. So I believe an important thought to remember is that whenever we are doing work for the Lord, that we keep our minds focused on Him rather than occupying ourselves with busy work. The second story of Mary Magdalene is the one that she's most remembered for. It was during the feast at her Uncle Simon's house, and she showed her utter love and devotion to the Lord by purchasing an expensive gift of ointment to use on his body, which she then used her hair to wipe his feet with. Can you imagine how much love Mary had for Jesus that she would do such a thing? Her love had to have been so great since he had called forth her beloved brother from the grave and delivered her numerous times until she finally understood what it meant to devote herself to the Lord and serve in gratitude. The last story about Mary Magdalene recorded in the Bible was when she had found her Lord's body missing, only to find two angels sitting where Jesus' body had been, and later, Jesus himself before he had ascended. She was the one to bring the news to the disciples. Mary Magdalene's testimony of love has been preached across the world, as her experience brings hope to those with similar stories, or those who, like her, have been trapped in sin. And I'm sure many of us in here as well has felt like Mary did before she met Jesus. Her story is an important part of the Christian message because it shows that Jesus understands us. He knows what circumstances we may be in, and he is still there for us, and he wants us to tell him our sins so that he can help.
Amen.
He turns no one away and is happy to take hopeless or broken people so that he can deliver them from their sins and make them soldiers of God. Thank you.
Amen.